Good. Should we just start then?
Yeah. Are you doing the intro today then?
I'll do the intro. All right. So, okay, this is the second chat we're having, dream talking, as we decided to call it. And in this one, I think, Tricia, you're going to kick off just having a chat about one of your dreams that you've had and your interpretations of it, what you think it's telling you. I'm not going to do any more introduction than that, rather than just get into it, really.
Yeah, cool. Okay. Thanks for that, Jane. So yeah, just a little recap. Jane and I both had a kundalini awakening, and when this started, I really started focusing in on my dreams. This dream has always really stuck with me because it was right at the beginning when all this energy started, but I didn't really understand at that time what that was, what it meant, its implications, what even kundalini was. So this dream, I call it the Blue Madonna with afro hair. And it's really stuck with me as well, because in this dream, as I said, which was very early on in the awakening, I'm looking at myself in the mirror and I have a completely blue face and a full afro hair. And I shake the hair and it moves around, and I just kind of laugh at myself and giggle at this view of myself. And pretty much that was the dream. But when I've kind of gone back and looked at that, I do remember at the time I was very intrigued, and I knew it was a very powerful dream because of the blue face.
That was your very first one?
I think it was one of the first ones where it was, to me, I look back now, I think it was saying this is the blue face of the kundalini feminine energy. And there's and it was something to do with this much stronger ancestral feminine in me, by the very fact that I had the afro hair as well, which from my understanding obviously is some of the originality of human beings. So yes, it was this afro hair. And as I've kind of gone on through my awakening, I see that dream now as definitely being the image of Kali, this image of Kali with the blue face and the dark hair, and the idea that she's like this transcendental energy. She's Mother Earth. She's the most primordial energy that is.
And did you?
Sorry,
before
go on,
that came in, did you, just sort of put in perspective, did you even know who Kali was?
No, not at the time. I was just completely fascinated.
That kind of aligns with my experiences. There was all these things coming that you just haven't got a clue who they were before. Yeah. Carry on. Sorry.
But you know that they're significant, and it's a case of even then, over a period of time, and I've come to understand the idea of what Kali is. And obviously we live in a Western culture, so Kali is quite an unusual image to us, because we wouldn't see that on a daily basis. But perhaps if you lived in the East, that might be a symbol that you'd see quite often. But certainly for me, it wouldn't have been a symbol that I'd seen. But I guess what the big thing is this idea about chaos and transformation. And really now, when I look back at my awakening, I mean, she did cause chaos. She brought chaos into our lives, and this transcendental energy and this whole thing about change and anger and pain and destruction. And I think that I don't know how that works in a Western culture, but Kali is very strong and powerful in the Eastern culture. I don't think we have that same thing, or that feminine.
I don't think we have more masculine versions like the Norse gods and things like that, but there's not so many. I think maybe it's not Western, but there's the Russian babushka kind of, or Baba Gesh.
Okay.
And then when I looked into this, I started getting people like this. I think it's I can't remember, it's Sheila or Sheila, I can't remember what it's, but it's the Irish version of Kali, which is often above medieval churches, but got taken down because it's literally a woman sort of spreading her legs open. But again, these, similar to your sort of Blue Madonna that came through, I had no version of that before.
No. And it is powerful. And then as you've gone, I don't know if you're like me, I think you probably have, as you've gone through the awakening, you do see that symbolism. But even if at the time you'd have said this is who Carly was, it wouldn't have meant anything to me at that time, where now I can totally connect with that power. I actually can live it, feel it, for the whole transcendental piece, which I think we'll probably go into as we go perhaps a little bit further in the dream. So even though I might have known somebody said, oh, that's Carly, I'd have probably read it and just read it as a piece of information. But now it's a living energy within me, which I can
and
connected with.
And that's been an important thing for me to realise, because, you know, people say, oh, I'm a reincarnated version of this and I have this person to do, which is, for me, that's missing the point. What it's actually showing is it's the energetics and the frequency of what that's rather than your it. Or it's just a version of you that's shown in that way, and then you can sort of look into it and say, oh yeah, I get that now. And that's trying to show me. And that's the difference, isn't it? It's one thing about reading it, it's another one when you're living and breathing it. And then I guess the next level is when you've transcended it. In other words, that you can own all of that. You've lived it, you've felt it, you've moved through it, it's moved through you. So that was the dream of the Blue Madonna and the Afro hair. And what was it telling you? Well, just those things that I've said, that I think on a deeper level, that feminine does live within us. That deep transcendental feminine energy of the cosmos is within all of us. But I think only as you go through the awakening, that you can read about it as much as you like, but until those I's and T's start dotting up along that path, I think that's what has happened to me. I can actually now, as I said, I can see it, breathe it, live it, recognise it. Were you feeling, so, you know, Carly is often seen as a symbol of rage and sort of, like you said, destroying everything. But when these dreams or that dream came in for you, were you in that space, or did it wake you up, or was it reflecting what you needed to do, or was it completely out of nowhere? Well, it did feel like an out of nowhere, and at the time, I mean, I was really intrigued by it. It proper tickled me, the dream, because I was looking at myself and I was laughing at myself. And apparently she's like that. That's what Carly is, isn't she? She's quite naughty, really. But as I said, at that time, no, a lot of the kundalini had only just begun. So it was like I really hadn't shifted through some of that. But the rage and the anger, I have felt the rage of Carly very deep. I mean, so deep, you wonder where that comes from. But it was definitely in me. I think we've talked about this before. I've never seen that rage as belonging to Tricia, i.e. something to do with my personal life and my personal circumstances. I think it's a very deep human feminine pain, and believe me, that rage is it's hard to even put a word to it, the power that it has, and how it is actually living within your own body. What, in hindsight, what do you think the value of it was? Because we've talked about how shit this can be sometimes. It's because I had it physically, like I would get that, I'd have those dreams and I'd physically feel the energetics of rage, and like almost like my body was going to explode. But you know, what benefit did it bring? See, I can't, I don't think I could really answer that, other than well, I guess it's into the shadow work, isn't it? That rage is there. Then if it's in me, Jane, and it's in you, then it's on the planet, isn't it? It's within other people, and that rage. I mean, you could get into some feminine conversations, and I'd want to avoid that, because I just think that rage is there, and I actually don't think it's just in women. I think that rage is in men as well. As I've gone through the awakening, I have noticed that that a couple of men I've met, that rage is there. They perhaps can't articulate it the way you and I can because of, you know, this awakening. But I think there is a real rage. It's so deep and so
It's like I would call it even a cosmic rage, like a primordial anger. I don't know what the benefit is of it. I can't say.
I think, yeah, well, exactly. I think for me, the benefit was it forced me to look at things, because it forced me to sort of say, well, what is that, and why is that coming through? And I think you're right in that men have it as well, because we have dreams about male deities as well, and I think it's bringing in the masculine and feminine that's in everyone, so it can apply to men as well. But that underlying rage, I think you're right, it's just where have we lost all the connection and the where have we gone so wrong with how we do things? And I've been coming around a bit on that. I think we're actually a bit too down on humans. We've got a bit of we're raging at stuff, but underneath it all is, even with Carly, is that love, right? You're raging to bring out the shit, to find the underlying theme of love. And I do think, and this has been recent actually, just, we're always having to go at ourselves for, bringing shit to the planet, being horrible to each other, fighting each other. And it's just like, if we could just stop being so rageful at each other and down on us themes of shit, I think we could just move things along a long way anyway.
Yeah. And I'm picking up on that, this whole idea of the rage and fighting. And where does that rage come from? I was recently watching, I did a little Netflix thing, and I was watching a thing on the Romans, and it was just literally every emperor had to go out, and the only way you could be a man or an emperor was to go out and just rampage across all of Europe, killing thousands and thousands and thousands. And this masculine energy just kept going out, killing. The only thing it knew what to do was to kill. And I was watching it, and I found myself getting really angry inside. And I was trying to explain to a friend, because they were like, "What's wrong with me?" And I'm like, "This is really bothering me." And I go, "Why?" I said, "Because that's the masculine energy that has been, it's so powerful and so wanting to kill everybody, that in a way that is where the feminine has been eradicated. Because for the feminine to go up against that energy, to go up against that strong masculine primordial warrior energy, it's impossible, because that energy is too powerful. I mean, it's taken over all of Europe anyway. So yeah, that's kind of, I think, where the rage was coming from, of that anger of killing.
I do sometimes wonder though, there's this whole thing about the feminine leads, as in, it doesn't have to be feminine leaders, but the feminine sets the tone for everything in the world and respond to it. And there is that whole thing, why were people rampaging across Europe? Is it, what role has the feminine played in that to some extent?
I've lost you a bit there, Jane.
Yeah. What, lost me? It lost me in terms of what I'm saying? Or, oh no, hang on. You there?
Hello?
Hello? Hello? Right, well, I'm going to, oh, there you are.
Yeah. Sorry, I missed that, Jane. We must have lost
I was just thinking off the top of my head. It was, I don't know where you cut out, but it was this whole thing about the feminine leads, and the feminine sets the tone for what the masculine does. Doesn't mean feminine females have to be in leadership positions, but men respond to the feminine energy. And you got to wonder where it was. Maybe it was the loss of connection with the mother, the lot that is causing that rampaging across Europe, right? Because it is a part of it is a protection, a survival, making sure I can reproduce there, I keep the feminine safe. So I wouldn't want to put the onus on the feminine completely, but there's that feminine bit that's scared of it all, but there's that feminine magnetism that creates that in men sometimes. And what could we look to shift that, really?
It is quite complex when you try and get into the masculine and feminine side of it. It's like, why would the emperors could only go out and feel that the only thing that would make them a man would be to go and conquer? It's that word conquering, which is you know, come from the masculine sense. How the feminine fits under that, I don't think I could quite articulate it very well, other than there is the feminine in there, but I think it's the masculine have become very disconnected from it, so they were unable to
disconnected from the mother,
to limit themselves.
There's just general disconnection, right?
Yeah. So yeah, full circle there then, Jane. So back to Madonna. She has that rage, the Blue Madonna. She obviously has love and compassion as well. But I think I hope I'm not speaking on behalf of you, but I think both you and I felt much more of the pain and the rage and the anger, and for a long time before we ever moved into more of the loving aspect side of Carly, or the feminine energy, or
when my wake up call all happened, all my initial dreams were horrible, mental, ragey, wars, everything, and then it shifted into softer stuff. But initially it was that.
Good. Okay. Then right,
so there we are. Awesome.
Yeah, we had a nice exploration there, and
until next time.
Yeah, enjoy your afternoon then.
All right,
Bye, Jane. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.